The MotoGP paddock is preparing for one of the most significant technical changes of the 2026 season as riders head into Assen without front holeshot devices for the first time. The decision, introduced earlier than originally planned, has sparked a wide range of reactions throughout the grid. While opinions differ regarding the impact on performance, there is broad agreement on one key point. Race starts are about to become slower, more challenging, and potentially much safer. The front holeshot device has become an essential component of modern MotoGP machinery over the past several seasons. Designed to lower the front end of the motorcycle during launches, the system minimizes wheelies and allows riders to accelerate harder and reach turn 1 at significantly higher speeds. However, the technology has also created a new problem. Riders have been forced to disengage the system under heavy braking while approaching the first corner, often in the middle of tightly packed groups of motorcycles. This procedure has occasionally led to dangerous situations, particularly at circuits where turn 1 arrives quickly after the starting grid. As a result, MotoGP officials have accelerated plans to eliminate the front lowering device and have also revised starting grid spacing, beginning with next weekend's German Grand Prix. Additional practice starts have been scheduled at Assen to help teams adapt to the new procedures before both the Sprint and Grand Prix races. For Honda rider Luca Marini, the change is a welcome one. The Italian believes removing the front device eliminates one major distraction during the most chaotic moments of a race start. For me, it's nice because we will have one less thing to think about when we arrive at turn 1, Marini explained. According to Marini, riders will no longer need to worry about unlocking the front of the motorcycle while simultaneously trying to defend positions and avoid contact with nearby competitors. He pointed out that rear ride height devices can still occasionally remain engaged, but he considers that scenario far less dangerous than having the front end locked. Marini also suggested that Honda could potentially benefit from the new regulations. The Japanese manufacturer has traditionally been known for producing motorcycles that launch well off the line, and he believes the absence of front holeshot devices could allow rider skill to play a larger role once again. Nevertheless, Marini stopped short of calling the ban a complete solution. He acknowledged that turn 1 incidents are an inherent part of motorcycle racing. The crashes in turn 1 will not disappear completely, he admitted. Maybe we reduce the possibility a little bit, but it will still be there. For the Italian, the first corner remains the one moment in a race where riders can gain several positions at once by taking calculated risks. In an era where overtaking has become increasingly difficult, those opening seconds remain critically important. Former world champion Fabio Quartararo also welcomed the ban, primarily from a safety perspective. The Yamaha rider admitted that starts will become more difficult because motorcycles will now wheelie more aggressively under acceleration. Riders will have to work considerably harder to control the machine and keep power effectively directed to the rear tire. Yet Quartararo believes this challenge is preferable to the risks associated with the front lowering device. It's more tricky with the wheelie and everything on straight, but in the braking points it's safer, he said. The Frenchman specifically referenced circuits such as Le Mans, Phillip Island, and Silverstone, where disengaging the device has occasionally proven difficult and created uncomfortable moments during heavy braking zones. According to Quartararo, riders continued using the technology simply because every manufacturer had adopted it. Once one team gained an advantage through the system, the rest of the grid had little choice but to follow. Jorge Martin also expects starts to become more technical and rider-dependent. Martin revealed that initial testing without the front device showed that acceleration differences from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour were not dramatic. However, he emphasized that controlling the motorcycle became considerably more complicated. Without electronic and mechanical assistance keeping the front wheel planted, riders must now carefully manage the throttle, clutch, and braking inputs during launches. The talent will come out, Martin said. The Spaniard believes the change could actually reward riders with exceptional feel and technique. In previous seasons, launching procedures had become increasingly automated, with riders often holding full throttle and simply releasing the clutch, according to carefully practiced sequences. Now, starts are likely to require far more instinct and adaptability. Most importantly, Martin supports the change because of its safety benefits. Riders will arrive at the first corner carrying less speed, giving them additional time to react and potentially reducing the severity of incidents. While Martin described the performance difference as manageable, According to the Australian, the absence of the front holeshot device means riders could approach turn 1 approximately 30 kilometers per hour slower. That figure alone explains why every manufacturer invested heavily in the technology. It's about getting there first, Miller said. For years, those extra kilometers per hour represented a crucial competitive advantage, even if riders knew they would later face complications under braking. Miller strongly rejected suggestions that larger wheelies could introduce new safety concerns. He argued that wheelies have always been part of motorcycle racing. We had wheelies for 30 years, he said. Instead, Miller believes the genuinely unnatural element was forcing riders to grab massive amounts of front brake pressure to disengage the system before then transitioning immediately into normal braking procedures. To him, the front holeshot device represented an unnecessary complication that disrupted natural riding instincts. The Australian is convinced that its removal will create both safer and more entertaining first corners. Current championship leader Marco Bezzecchi offered a more measured perspective. The Aprilia rider accepted the decision, but admitted he was not entirely convinced that banning the device alone would solve all of MotoGP's safety concerns. This is a decision that we must accept, Bezzecchi said. He acknowledged that reducing speed into turn 1 could certainly improve safety, but noted that racing incidents are influenced by many factors. Even so, the Italian praised MotoGP organizers for taking decisive action rather than simply discussing potential solutions. Bezzecchi also highlighted the importance of additional practice starts, which he believes will help riders and engineers adapt more quickly to the new procedures. MotoGP rookie Diogo Moreira perhaps faces the least difficult adjustment. Having spent recent years in Moto2, where starts require considerably more rider input, the Brazilian sees the change as something of a return to familiar territory. For sure, it will be different. It will also be more interesting to see and to watch the starts, Moreira said. He expects riders to once again rely heavily on clutch control, rear brake modulation, and wheelie management. In his opinion, this should produce more dynamic and unpredictable launches. Moreira also believes overtaking opportunities at turn 1 could increase because riders will be able to brake more naturally and approach the corner with lower entry. Moreira also believes overtaking opportunities at turn 1 could increase because riders will be able to brake more naturally and approach the corner with lower entry speeds. As MotoGP enters this new chapter, one thing appears certain. Race starts are about to become a genuine test of rider skill once again. For years, technological innovations have transformed launches into highly engineered procedures, dominated by mechanical systems and carefully programmed techniques. Beginning at Assen, however, the emphasis shifts back toward instinct, feel, and raw motorcycle control. The motorcycles may arrive at the first corner as much as 30 kilometers per hour slower, but the challenge facing the riders could become greater than ever. And in a championship where fractions of a second often determine victory or defeat, mastering this new reality could prove to be one of the defining factors of the 2026 MotoGP season.